All right, we are back with another episode of The T, episode 2. And today we're going to be talking about lessons learned from polls. Now, for those of you that have been following our show, our first show started a couple of weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And I know I wanted to get on the topic of polls because it's so relevant on what's going on in the LGBT community and things of that nature. So tonight we're going to dedicate this show to polls. As you guys know, polls is currently in their second season, and the last show was on Tuesday. And I'm telling you, there are so many lessons to be learned.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
I'm sorry, guys. Bear with us. Right.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by. It's still showing us live on Facebook and the other platforms, but not Blog Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to get someone to coordinate that.
I might have to go back and edit that. I'm gonna see how it sounds once it's done.
Is this, you just recording this or it is live?
That's live on Facebook and YouTube. All right, guys, we are going to try this one more. All right, guys, we're going to try this one more again. We are back with another edition of the T Podcast brought to you by the Urban Wire Network. This is our second installment.
Yes.
We are back for another time, and we're gonna be exposing some tea tonight. We're gonna talk about some relevant topics that are pertinent to the LGBT community. And not only that, I just want everybody to know you don't necessarily have to be a part of the LGBT community to enjoy this show, because this is a show that we touch on topics that are relevant to everybody. Mm-hmm. Now, tonight's show, we're going to be talking about pose. Now, for those of you who don't know what pose is, like, you have to be literally sleeping under a rock, but Pose is a new show that is currently on FX network, and it is in its currently in the second season. And I'm telling you, it has been having the blogs and the, just the blogosphere and just everybody talking. So we're going to go straight to the lines. Right here, we have Jonathan Crockett right here. And then we're going to go to the lines and bring in Philip. Philip, are you there?
Hello?
Ooh, finally, we had some... Yeah, can you hear us? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah, we had some technical
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, we had some technical difficulties, but we're back on, thank God. So, the topic of the evening is pose. Like, the last couple of episodes have been very, 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 very just jam-packed full of lessons, and just, it's just, I don't know, it's just so many things that we can gain from that show as far as things that we can learn and adapt to our lives. And also, like, the show does a good job in putting everything in perspective historically.
Yes. So
I'm going to do like we always do. I'm going to let both of you guys talk, and we're going to, I'm going to bounce off the questions to you. And I just want to know what you guys think as far as the show. Now, Philip, have you had a chance to look at season 2, like episodes 1 and 2 yet, or are you still working on that?
I just watched episode 1, but I have yet to see the second episode.
Oh, okay. And what about you, Jonathan?
I have now seen both first and second episodes of season 2.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do really quick is I'm going to play the trailer for season 2 just to get everybody caught up in general, like a general sense of what's going on, because I don't really want to give any spoilers away. Yeah. But I'm going to play the trailer for season 2, and then we're going to come back and talk about some things. This show's going to probably be a little shorter tonight, but I just wanted to bring up a couple things about the show, and I just suggest any and everybody to watch that show, because it's lessons that can be taken away from that, like as far as loyalty and just being just looking at each other as humans. It you know, a lot to do with family, a lot of values that we definitely need to adhere to in today's current society. So I'm gonna go to this clip and we will be back with the rest of the commentary.
The category is runway. Mark my words, Vogue will make us stars. And what's new is in an entire world undiscovered, swimming to the rim with guts and raw talent.
This season of Pose is about the community now finding a place in mainstream, about acknowledgement, about visibility.
We are on the cusp of a revolution. We're about to go mainstream. Let's Vogue like Paris!
Since 1990, there are new types of dance moves that come into place. There's a lot of, proactive things that are happening. We dive a little deeper into the AIDS epidemic and what happened within the 90s.
I've been to 3 funerals this week. 3. Where's the cure?
We quarantined the ones that died of AIDS, don't want them infecting anyone else, but they're already dead. We don't know how this thing is spread.
I'll just touch on the AIDS epidemic and the HIV crisis that was happening in a very important way.
This Sunday's protest up at St. Patrick's Cathedral is an even more crucial step in starting a global conversation around HIV and AIDS.
We should all be going to that church for the protest on Sunday together as a house.
Pray Tell is now joining the fight for equality and rights. Blogging is someone who has been, sentenced with HIV, and she has to advocate for the people out there who have it as well.
To Mother Blanca Evangelista!
Story has evolved in ways where Blanca grows, her kids are thriving under her, and now she has a place of her own to actually build and come into herself.
I thought that was for modeling content. I want to say that the mind on mama got some book.
Angel's role in season 2, she's trying to move forward in her life, and I think this is where Blanca's influence in her life comes in handy.
Hey, you next, Damon. No more Saturdays sitting around the house reading dirty magazines from 3 until 5. You're going to be teaching a voguing class down at the YMCA.
They don't have a voguing class.
Well, they do now.
For Damon, you'll see what it means to be a 20-year-old and how the culture, how the vibe, how what's happening in America with LGBTQ people, how that materializes on a young, queer, Black body.
I don't owe you an explanation for anything. I am not a slum rat like the rest of you whores.
Electra goes through a lot. She lost everything and she was taken in, but she's not the type of woman that, follows anyone else's rules. In this season, she has to find herself and she discovers that she still is the strong Electra.
Season 2 is all about people learning how to express themselves and really not giving a damn if anybody doesn't like it.
Why are you pulling stunts? We're making an entrance. About to get that poor face in the ditch.
I've come prepared to gut you like the fish you'll never be.
We're telling this story so you realize that there needs to be change. That we need to continue trying to change things.
I'm joining your house.
Season 2 thrusts us and everybody to wake up. There's no more time for anything else.
We're Black and we're brown and we're queer. They don't give a shit about us, so we better start caring about ourselves. Do it for your life. Wake up!
All right, that is pretty much the trailer of season 2, and I'm telling you, it's already off to a bang. Like, we're already 2 episodes in, and it's just so jam-packed full of stuff. Now, I'm going to go to you, Philip. What did you get, from what you've seen already? What are some of the things that you gathered from this season of Pose? What are some of the things that stood out to you? Because I know you just seen episode 1, but what are some of the lessons that you took away from that first episode that you've seen so far?
Oh my! I don't even know where to begin. It was a very emotional beginning, and I really was. I don't think surprised is the word to describe it. Let's just say that it made me feel a little emotional, not like in a tragic way, but like it was so much to take in from one episode. We're talking about the beginning of the 90s and the end of the 80s. This is the cusp of a new, I would say, a new decade, a new trend, a new bandwagon, a new culture. Because it's like what the members of the cast had said. You know, now Vogue and Zoom culture has become, you know, public. Now everyone knows about it. Especially in the first episode where Blanca was talking about, you know, Madonna's single Vogue. I personally liked this song, and you know, because Vogue, Madonna, you know, she's that type of person that will start a trend and everyone else will jump on it real quick.
That's
But
right.
I didn't know that Vogue had a different meaning to people in the ballroom community. To them, it was like we're advertising our existence through her. If that makes any sense.
It does.
Right.
And so I didn't know, you know, how strong the message was from, you know, that one hit that Madonna had. Because, you know, I was a baby when this came out, the song. And, you know, when I listen to it now, it has a different meaning because I'm like, it's not a song about just dancing and showing off and, you know, making yourself known, you know, prancing around the dance floor like a peacock. This song was about, look, this is a community that gave you the inspiration to Vogue, that gave you the inspiration to say slay queen and pens across the board. We created this culture that you are now emulating. And through this song, it became the bridge that bridged the 80s into the 90s. And so I was really, you know, just enchanted by, you know, the ballroom scene where, you know, Pretel, you know, was just talking about the category is, what did he say? Something about a runway. I'm like, yes. So on that note, yes, it was a very explosive way to start the season. But, you know, on the other hand, you know, the yin and yang, here's the yang. We are now being made aware of how crucial it was to live during this time where AIDS was killing people left and right. So the scene that they were at that secluded island where we have to see those pine boxes full of, you know, unmarked graves. I mean, I had no idea that people who died of HIV were in those. They weren't in any cemeteries. They were practically dumped in some unmarked territory with no number, with no name, just a number. And so, you know, I felt that was very dehumanizing. These were people. These were sons to someone else's parents. And so, you know, I'm learning a history that was never taught to me in school or in the household, that these people had to pretty much play Russian roulette with their own lives. They didn't know when they were going to live or when they were going to die. And it didn't matter how healthy you were, according to the doctor that was speaking to Bianca in episode 1, you could still die.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we all ought to be thankful that in 2019 that we have, you know, more research that was developed to make drugs to not only prevent HIV, but to maintain your blood count. I believe that, you know, helps people become undetected on the status.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it was both amazing as well as shocking. And so, you know, I'm glad that they started the season the way they did.
All right. Let me jump in here real quick and let everybody know, if you want to call in and join the conversation, the call-in number is area code 646-595-3515. Once again, that's 646-595-3515. Now, one thing I want to say before I move to you, Jonathan, is like Philip touched on this. This show, although it, you know, the characters are fictional and all that stuff, the show had a lot of history in it that I wasn't even aware of. Like, I didn't even know that so many people went through so much as far as historically. Like I seen when they were protesting at the church and stuff like that, the Catholic Church, and just like some of the things that took place culturally at that time. Like even as far as you mentioned the epidemic, the AIDS epidemic, like we just take that whole thing for granted these days because people feel like, now we have PrEP, now we have medications that will get your viral load down to undetectable or whatever. But these people literally, there was a death sentence when the doctor handed down that diagnosis to them. And it was just amazing how people had to get a grasp on life. And the thing that I took away from episode 1 and 2 is, for one, I felt that there was a sense of family and commitment at that time because people the community had to lean on each other.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't think that the community has today. And number 2, I felt that when Blanca was talking to her kids about, she was breaking down about what she gone through and how she got to where she got to, it was all about self-love and self-respect. And that's something that she made that mistake in the past, that she kind of felt that sleeping with all these men kind of validated her self-worth. And it just made me feel good that she actually kept it real. And she was influential on the younger generation because she was like, well, I've been there. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want you guys to go through what I went through, because this is not the time. Like this era that we're going through, you better know who you are and be reassured about who you are and not seek validation through somebody else, because you'll end up where I'm at. So those are the things that I took away from this particular season so far. So I'm gonna hand it over to Jonathan. I want you to tell me what did you take away from episode 1 and 2 so far?
Well, I will say that, Philip, I'm going to take a word that you just used, and it was explosive. It's been a long time since I've really been emotionally invested in such a show to where I actually feel like I'm there. Mm-hmm. They actually put me right there in 1990 New York City, and I actually get to see and feel what everyone is experiencing. And it really, it truly impacts me. I was 9 years old at the time that season 2 is being portrayed, 1990. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anything about this. Probably because my parents, tried to shield me from it, and they didn't want me to see it. They didn't really understand what AIDS was. They probably still don't understand what it is today. I hate to say that because sometimes ignorance, is a powerful thing. All these characters have really, they've given me hope that, in defiance of AIDS, in defiance of the government's actions, they're still trying to live, and they're going to do it by any means necessary. And that means that they have to go to a Catholic church in the heart of New York City and do a huge protest, against Catholic policies. Or one of my cousins pointed out that in the late 1980s, a lot of people were arrested in front of the White House to protest the Reagan administration's policies on AIDS, and they got arrested. So it was just very powerful, and it hit me like a load of bricks. And that's why I cannot wait to see this show through to the end, to see how it all ends up, so to speak.
Yeah, me too.
I will say this too, for those who don't know, that this show done so well. It's done numbers so well that it's already being renewed for season 3. So I really am kind of excited to see where this show goes. Like, because right now we started out in the late 80s, now we're in the early 90s. I want to see how far the timeline goes, and I want to see how these characters develop.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I want to see how the characters develop over time and what happens, because it'll be very interesting, because as the 90s unfolded, you know, there was more research being done as far as HIV is concerned, and a lot of people were going through those clinical trials. And I recently watched a video about how a lot of those people, because of what they went through, and a lot of them being guinea pigs to these new medications and stuff like that, that's why we're at where we're at today, where we can have PrEP, where people can get on medications where they're only taking 1 pill a day. And it's because of what these people went through, and they were willing to sacrifice so that the future generation didn't have to go through what they went through. It's really telling. And getting back to the point that I made earlier about family, like, I kind of felt that this show kind of put in perspective that the gay community is like, a lot of times they think of us, we don't have a family, we don't have any structure, we don't have anyone that loves us, we don't have anything like that. But this show shows us that there is loyalty within our community, and during that time we had to depend on each other, and it was just showing, it just added a humanistic kind of element to our community. I kind of felt that the shows in the past really didn't do that. It always kind of made a mockery, or kind of upheld the stigmas or the stereotypes that people have against the gay community. And I kind of felt that this show kind of gave a humanistic element to the characters. And over time, I can kind of see how you can fall in love with these characters. It's almost like you know these people, because you can relate them to certain experiences that you've had with people that you've met, not even within the LGBT community, but in real life. So that's what I like about this show. This show paints these people as human beings. Like, and like you said, like, anybody that is not emotional from watching this show, it's something wrong with you, because the way that they kind of built this show, it was just like, I don't know, it was just, you could relate with these people. Like, it's, especially like I seen the young kids that were in Blanca's house, like how they were just so misguided. Like, they didn't have anybody out there, and I think a lot of times, even today, there's a lot of youth that are out here that don't have family. They just out here by themselves. Their family done disowned them. Their family done kicked them to the curb. So, I mean, a lot of the issues that were going on back then, it's still going on today. And I just kind of feel that I think the youth that are coming up today in the community, they can relate to them, like, because a lot of this stuff still hasn't changed. We're still dealing with a lot of these things. We're still dealing with homeless LGBT youth that are out here on the streets trying to fend for themselves. We're still dealing with a rise of, although it's gotten better, the numbers aren't where they need to be as far as new cases of HIV infection. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do have PrEP now, but we're not getting that message out to the communities they really need to get this message out. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think that was like one of the major things I took away. Some of the things I took away from it.
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. But
can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, you fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I definitely agree with you on the family aspect. It did make me feel very sentimental. Even though, my family, they don't accept
me, for being gay, but they still love me. But in that case, when I see how Blanca, is the house mother, and she's, taking in anyone, but under certain conditions, of course. But like, she really has created a strong bond. And what's even more is that even though she knows she's on borrowed time, especially when she tries to pass the torch to Angel.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that she would see so much confidence in Angel to be the next house mother if something should happen to her. That's how much she really cares about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's raising them in a way to have respect for themselves as well as each other.
Right.
Because that really defines what we think a family is. Everyone thinks a family is just like, a father and a mother and two kids.
Like biological.
And you have to make sure that they do the chores and they do the homework. But no, it's more than that. It's really about survival. It's like what you said. So many people were homeless because they were kicked out of their families' houses for coming out. This is a family that we are seeing that are trying to survive, and the only way they can do that is to help each other. And I like to really emphasize that, because you guys know about how Electra have responded at the end of the first episode.
Yeah, that's another character I really want to get on too, like, because she was. So
it made a lot of sense.
Yeah. I feel like that her character represented like so many people within the community. They like to reap the benefits of the struggle, but they don't want to get out there and get their hands dirty, and they don't want to get out there and put in their work. And she was all about herself.
Exactly.
And anytime you have any person like that in any community, they're toxic. And that's why I kind of see that element of where she was just all about herself, and you could never trust her. Like, you could never trust her. Her loyalty lied with nobody. She didn't have loyalty with anybody. You see how she hopped from house to house, into group to group. She didn't care. It was all about her. And unfortunately, that's the same
you would think that
today.
She would learn something.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You would think she would have learned something after being with Blanca for 2 years.
Right.
You would think she would have learned, that the only way that you are ever going to survive is through the support of everyone else. And apparently she did not get the memo after those 2 years that went by at the beginning of the second season. And so I'm like, you know what, Alexa, it's apparent that, okay, you got some own issues within yourself. Like, we get it. You don't answer to anyone. You beat at the sound of your own drum. And there's nothing wrong with being independently minded and, trying to stand your ground. But there was some time and place for that, and it wasn't, at the dinner table. Like, it felt like she, but, come to think of it, at the end of the last episode in the previous season, she did say that she didn't trust nobody, because she felt that trust is just it's just a thing that they use to get something from you.
Yeah.
So she did mention that.
Now let me ask you this. Let me jump in here and ask you this real quick, Philip, while I'm thinking about it. Do you think that over the seasons, or just even over this series, you think that her story is going to be told? Because I feel like there is a underlining story. Because I don't think that she got to where she got to the point where she's at currently it's a backstory to that. And I'm very interested to see how they portray her story throughout this series, because I really feel that
I really hope so too.
Yeah, because I just don't feel like they've really given us that yet, because they're slowly telling everybody else's story. Like they're kind of telling Blanca's story and how she got to where she is and everybody else's. But I kind of feel that there's this huge, like,
there's a void.
Like, it's a question mark hanging over us. Like, okay, what is her story? Where is she coming from? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
because I think that will explain a lot.
Me too.
I agree with that.
Like, I want to know, like, how does she think? Like, what drove her to be such a, what drove her to be such a bitter bitch?
I think we'll probably get to that.
I want to empathize with Elektra.
Right.
I want to empathize with her, but I feel like we need to see more of the season to figure out if we should have a reason to.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, like in real life, and I'm almost wondering if her story kind of goes along with, I can't remember her last name, but I know her real name is Dominique. And I've seen an interview that she did, Dominique Jackson. And I seen an interview that she did back in 2015. And her real life story and her real life struggle kind of goes hand in hand with this show. I can kind of see why she was a good candidate for this show, because she's actually lived the life. You know what I'm saying? You know, she came from the Caribbean islands and stuff like that, where being gay and transgender was pretty much a death sentence. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could not openly be like that without being persecuted and sometimes being shot, killed, you know, being thrown into prison. And I think she is a wonderful person. She's a beautiful person in real life. I think you guys should definitely check out some of her interviews, because she has several interviews out there. And I think that her story is very telling. And I wonder if they're going to kind of line her story up, her real life story, with the story that she's portraying on Pose, because I think that she's actually lived that life. She was estranged from her family. She came here, she moved to the States and made something out of herself. And with so many other LGBT members of that community, as far as just like, not even just trans, but just gay people in general. Like, it's a struggle trying to find your identity and trying to be who you are, and dealing with these misconceptions that other people have towards you, and just like these stigmas that people have towards you, these judgments and everything else. So I kind of felt that she's really pouring her all into this character. Now, some people don't like how she's portraying this character. Some people, you know, everything's not for everybody, but I like the sass and the attitude and just the energy that she's putting into this particular character. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also amazing that the majority of the main cast is trans.
Yes.
I don't think I would have ever seen that. Do what?
And not from a straight person, whether it be a man or a woman. Yeah, no. I'm glad that they actually had transgendered people playing transgender characters.
Yes.
And I think MJ Rodriguez, she said that in her interview too, like she saw this as an avenue for her to be able to act in these roles without having someone else do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I think Billy Porter's character is just absolutely incredible.
Yes.
He has really put into perspective the life of someone who has been in a relationship, who had his partner pass away of AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
And that really just hit me. It hit me very hard. And I think it has given him a renewed sense of purpose to eradicate the disease overall.
Yeah.
And to educate as many people as he can. That's what I've seen from the end of season 1 into the beginning of season 2.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of like the fact, again, getting back to what I said earlier, how they give these characters a humanistic kind of like a, you know what I'm saying, just giving them some sort of humanity, because it shows that we are capable of having relationships. We are capable of loving. It's not like we're all out here partying and doing drugs and this, that, and the other. And that's what I kind of like about this show. It's putting the community out there in a positive light, because everybody thinks like they have this stigma of the LGBT community. Like, we're all out here doing drugs. We're all out here. We're not trying to settle down with anybody. We're all trying to sleep with the whole entire Dorn community and the whole Dorn country and stuff like that. And it really just shows that people are capable of wanting the same things that any other person wants. And I kind of like that. And that's what you were talking about, Billy Porter's character, Pray Tell. I like the fact that I feel like they're really developing his character this season. Like he's stepping to the forefront, being more like the father figure now and being an activist and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see his character unveiled, during the season. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yeah, I have an article that I want to read really quick. It's from NBC News, and this is just about FX renewing polls for season 3. And I just want to just kind of break it down and just let everybody know. This news was kind of released back on the 18th. So I just want to let you guys know that Pose fans will be having a ball. FX has renewed the Ryan Murphy created show, which is swiftly emerging as an awards contender for a 3rd season after only 1 episode of season 2 has aired.
Wow.
Pose is a dance musical that exposes the juxtaposition of several segments of life and society in New York, the ball culture world, the rise of the luxury Trump era universe in the downtown social and literary scene. The show features the largest cast of the transgender actors in series regular roles ever, as well as the largest reoccurring cast of the LGBT actors ever for a scripted series. So pretty much this show it's just groundbreaking. Season 2 flashes.
They got it for that.
Yeah. Season 2 flashes forward into in time to 1990, when, on the heels of the ballroom community establishing itself in the pop culture and going mainstream, the House of Evangelista, I can never say that word.
Evangelista
is forced to reevaluate their goals. The series' second outing premiered last week to 1.2 million total viewers, including 572,000 in the key demographic between the ages of 18 and 49, according to FX. So that's just a little bit of news I wanted to share with you guys. So, like I said, if you guys want to read the rest of this article, you can go to NBC News, and the title of the article is FX Renews Polls for Season 3. So, but yeah, I just wanted to get on here today and just do a little kind of like review of season 2, episodes 1 through 2. I don't want to give out too much information because I know everybody doesn't have cable, so they're waiting for these episodes to fall into, Netflix and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I have to watch it another way.
Mm-hmm.
I have to watch it another way, but I'm hoping to get caught up.
Yeah. But I just want to also give you guys some news. We're gonna probably cut this show short tonight, but I want everybody to know that we are now on Spotify, so you can go on Spotify and look up our shows. Typically, they take about 2 or 3 days before they are distributed on our network, so everybody can check us out there. You can always go back and listen to our shows on demand at blogtalkradio.com. Just type in the Urban Wire or type in the T, and our shows will pop up. We're on iTunes, and I know you were telling me, Jonathan, like they're gonna be getting rid of iTunes soon. like I've seen that article. So I don't know how that's gonna work out, but we'll try to get that established or whatever, and we'll get let everybody know how you can still download our shows through that medium. But we're on TuneIn Radio, Google Play, podcasts, and just Google us pretty much, and you'll be able to find us. So I don't know if you guys had anything else that you want to talk about today, or you want to share, or
I don't.
You don't. What about you, Philip?
Sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
No, I was just saying, do you have anything else that you want to share with us today? I just wanted to pretty much do this show about polls today.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if you had any other topics that you've seen in the news that you want to talk about on today's broadcast.
I do.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about AZT. It's like I've heard of this medication, but it was mentioned in the first episode because I was wondering, okay, with all this doom and gloom going on with people dropping like flies from the HIV/AIDS virus, like, is this some kind of experimental drug? Despite the fact that between the Reagan and the first Bush administration, they voted to not increase funding for it.
Mm-hmm.
So AZT was something that I've never heard of, and I found it very interesting that in the first episode, the doctor that was talking to Blanca said, we give this away for free, but it was the thing that she said where she got it. They weren't supplied that medicine. They actually just took it from the dying rich white guys of New York and purposed it for other people. And I was like, it was pretty much a Robin Hood story. Like, you're gonna rob from the rich to get to the needy, but this is justified. I mean, even right now, without insurance, is HIV medication still pretty expensive in 2019, or is it relatively affordable?
Well, I'll say this, even with PrEP and all this, there's more. I see that there's more community outreach today, probably versus what they had years ago. Like, there was definitely disparities, within the healthcare system. It was difficult enough for people that had money to get that AZT or get healthcare back then, let alone someone that was, like you said, that was that was low income and that that barely had enough money to even afford basic health care. But we still see the disparities that they're still going on in 2019, but it's gotten a lot better. I kind of feel that more people are realizing that this is an epidemic that we want to eradicate from the globe. Like, whether we control it or just prevent it, I think people are more they are more apt to kind of make it more affordable, and I think that it's gotten better, but we still have a ways to go.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you mentioned that too, Philip, because I'm glad you mentioned that too, because that's a good element that you brought up too. There was definitely an issue with healthcare, and there was a correlation between healthcare and race, because a lot of Black people, even today, like people of color, they don't have access to the resources that other people have, or a lot of these campaigns that are out here for like PrEP or even just HIV care, they're not aimed at people of color. And I'm glad that they brought that up, because that was an issue that was going on back then.
It's an issue still going on, because when I was living in Memphis for 2 years, the Planned Parenthood that gave free HIV testing at the University of Memphis, in a confidential area, they said that Memphis was one of the cities in the United States with the highest HIV rate in the nation. And it has a lot to do with what you just said. A lot of it has to do with the fact that there's a lot of Black people, especially Black LGBT and people who are HIV positive who don't have access to testing or information or even insurance for medications. And I think that's done intentionally, because Pose is a show that not only talks about the ballroom culture, it's also talking about a marginalized group of people, which are people of color living in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people of color that suffer the most from the HIV/AIDS crisis.
Right.
And so when you cut off funding, you pretty much are ending their life.
I'd like to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right now we're seeing a big, in the news at least, we're seeing abortion back in, and you're seeing states that are trying to get rid of their abortion clinics or Planned Parenthood altogether. I think just recently, Missouri is just about to lose their last abortion clinic. Now, this isn't about abortions, but we're talking about AIDS and STDs and HIV. In the overall grand scheme of things, losing a Planned Parenthood clinic is absolutely detrimental, not only for people of color, but for people in rural communities as well. Because only 3% of abortions take place at Planned Parenthood, but the rest is about education. It's about prevention. And if we lose those clinics, then we are really cutting our noses off to spite our face. Because now we are going backwards in not just in education, but then we're giving the disease a way to move forward and a way to grow again. Because if we don't have that education, then we're essentially shooting ourselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important that a lot of these clinics do stay open. And I know and I know that, this is far on down the road, but it's very important to vote to make sure that this funding continues. I know that Trump probably says one thing but does another in his administration, where he wants AIDS funding, but honestly, the administration and the Republicans don't want to give it. So
let's be real. I think Donald Trump really knows what's going on, and what's going on is wrong and detrimental, but he's just keeping up appearances. And I'm pretty sure that was the same for Reagan and the first Bush.
Yeah. They probably wanted to get this funding going, but because, they want to get reelected, or they want to, they want to win an election, have their party win an election, and therefore other, anti-gay, anti-LGBT, anti-AIDS forces are honestly kind of forcing their hand. And I think we're going to see the same thing in next year's election.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see a repeat of history in next year's election. Why else would they show Pose, a show that is a reflection of LGBT life 30 years ago? They're showing it because maybe the creators know what's going to happen in 2020.
Yeah.
The same thing that happened in 1990.
Well, I will say this: like a lot of these, you got to pay attention to a lot of these shows. A lot of people think that, they think that these shows are fictional, but I think a lot of these shows are kind of a precursor of events that are about to take place. You kind of, I think a lot of these show creators and people like that, they kind of have their ears to the ground and they kind of know what's coming up. And I think that a lot of these shows, whether they talk about things that have happened historically or things that are happening in the future, there's always some sense of relevance. You can't just always dismiss something as being fictional. Like I just look at so many shows and how they kind of are relevant with the time. So I think this is a show that's kind of geared at waking people up and kind of, subliminal, I can't even say the word, but putting a subliminal thought in your mind that we need to kind of pay attention to what's going on, because if not, we're deemed to go back or revert to where we came from. So I kind of feel that this show is kind of trying to get us back in focus. I think this is this show that's really good for that, because if we don't, we're going to be repeating the same struggles that we had to come from. Yes. So that's just my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm. You can't afford not to vote.
Exactly.
You can't afford not to vote.
And I kind of like how they had a sense of unity, like so many people now, like especially in the gay community. And I'm not saying all every person in the LGBT community, but so many people are so passive now. They feel like they have arrived, and I kind of feel like once they give you a couple of rights, you kind of feel like, okay, now it's time to kind of relax. I don't think that this generation has the same fight that the former generation did, because they had to fight. It was a life or death type of thing. But I feel now with the baby gays that are coming, I call them baby gays, the ones that are coming up now, they don't know what it is to struggle. They don't know what it is not to be accepted. They don't know what it is to be in fear of your life. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of feel that this is a show that kind of snap us back into reality and kind of give the younger generation a historical context to where they can appreciate what they have today, what liberties they have today.
Yeah, all right.
I like at the end of each episode, at least with season 2, that they have either put up a quote or they have put up some kind of semblance of the activism of the past, like with ACT UP in particular. Mm-hmm. That was the activist group that was getting the whole AIDS crisis into focus. And they were the ones who were going out in these larger cities and doing the protesting and trying to get everyone aware of what was going on. And I really, really thank this show for putting perspective on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because who also did it?
You said what?
If entertainment can be used to make a person to think a certain way, then it should be used to make people wake up a certain way.
That's right.
Shows like Pose are trying to compete with people like Fox News or InfoWorld or other makeshift talk shows like this one that we're on right now that spread false information and false propaganda. Mm-hmm. We're pretty much just 3 typical people who experience this on a daily basis, just saying, look, it's not like that.
Right.
Like, this is affecting everybody. Whether you are gay, straight, bi, it makes no difference. This is affecting everybody. And watching a show like Pose is not only entertaining, it's informative.
Yeah. And
that's why people should watch this show. And, there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, I don't want my child to watch something like that. Indoctrinate them to be gay. This has nothing to do with that. You're talking about a group of marginalized people that were deprived of support from their own city government to get help to eliminate a virus that was affecting everybody.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
Not because God punished them.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you guys, and it's funny that you brought that whole thing, like as far as the indoctrination thing. What do you feel about people that say that shows like these are furthering this so-called gay agenda? Because you hear that term being floated around today. What do you feel about this notion that there's a gay agenda that's being forced upon people?
I laugh at that.
I'll let Jonathan chime in on that.
I've heard gay agenda pretty much since I was really aware of, a lot more about the world. When I turned like 12 and 13, that's when I really started. When I heard about more of the AIDS crisis and learning about that, that's when I've heard more about the gay agenda. And when I was still in church, these Pentecostal pastors and televangelists were trying to drive home that, this acceptance is wrong. And, they're just trying to put this in your face. And anytime that you have a pride event, that there need to be people there to try to protest that pride event and this, that, and the other. And I think during the early part of the 90s, well, hell, even during the latter part, that's when a lot of the Protestant evangelicals really still had a foothold on the majority of America. And it's really taken a long time for us to counteract those forces because, honestly, I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to live my life. You're trying to live your life and to the fullest.
Yeah.
And it's just like that pastor in West Virginia /cop. That goes with exactly what you just said, Jonathan.
Say that one more time, Philip.
He wanted to kill gays and all this stuff. Remember, it was recent. You know that cop /pastor in West Virginia.
Oh, Tennessee. It was in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I meant Knoxville, Tennessee. Talking about he wanted the law enforcement to kill gays and all that.
Yeah.
Stuff. Well, that's exactly what we mean. Is what we're doing an agenda? No. What we're doing is simply saying that you just can't kill a person just because they are different from you.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of people in the South
on this show.
Say that one more time, Philip. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm saying Pose pretty much gave me a different perspective on the transgender community.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. In public, I wouldn't be the first person to, strike up a conversation with someone who's transgender. I probably would be a little, apprehensive. I'm not used to seeing a man identify as a woman or a woman identify as a man.
Right.
But these people do. Well, you know what I mean. Like, biologically, they're men. But they are women. They identify as women. They want to be women.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop you or anyone else from being who you want to be.
Right.
Just like it's only fair that you don't stop me from being who I want to be. Mm-hmm. But are they infringing on my personal space? Are they infringing on my beliefs? Are they infringing on my freedom? No.
Are they infringing on your constitutional rights as an American?
Right.
Because there's a lot of right wingers out there that will that will jump at the chance to put in an amendment to the Constitution to outlaw gay marriage. So they will probably jump at the same chance to try to have these to have a nationwide bathroom bill. I mean,
pull out the 2x4 out of your own eye before you point out the splinter in someone else's.
Well, also it tells me that these evangelicals and right-wingers have a, how can I say this? They have a dirty little secret of their own. And that's been coming to light a lot, especially with, the molestation of children, underage marriages, underage abortions. So, I guess it's low-hanging fruit for them, but Philip, you're right. They got to take that 2x4 out of their own eye. Mm-hmm. They've just been hypocrites all along. Mm-hmm. But they're trying to convince the vast majority of Americans that we are the problem, which we're not. And all we're asking for is to live our life, to give us the health care that we deserve.
Domestic partner benefits.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the list goes on and on.
But here's my thing about the whole entire gay agenda thing. You know, and that's why people need to quit sitting idly by and just allowing things like this, because it's our group that's being targeted today, and it's been other groups in the past. But please believe, if this injustice is allowed, who's to say your group is not going to be targeted next? You see what I'm saying? Because there's always, in any period of time, there's a scapegoat or a group of people that's always being targeted. And while you're sitting back and thinking that it doesn't affect you, any injustice to one group is an injustice to all, because you don't know who's going to be the target next. And here's my thing. You're talking about a gay agenda. When people have that type of language and they say stuff like that, you push people in the closet, and you pretty much breed a culture of men living on the down low.
Yes.
Because whether or not you want to accept it, not women always tell me, I want men to be honest with me. I want them to let me know what they are, this, and that. But you know, when you push out this language, let me finish. When you push this language out there, you are forcing these men to live these secret lives. And when these men live these secret lives, they aren't being educated. They're living off the grid. They don't know what they're doing. And this further perpetuates the spread of HIV and other STDs, because these people aren't going to get tested. They're just out here doing this, that, and the other. But when you promote people being who they are and being honest and allowing people to live in their truth, it allow people to have their basic rights as taxpaying citizens. You eliminate all that stuff, because people can feel comfortable about getting educated. People feel comfortable about getting tested. People feel comfortable about doing what they need to do to protect the health of themselves in their community. But when you talk about this gay agenda, you, first of all, even in today, I don't care how socially acceptable it is, who in their right mind wants to be gay? Now, there's some people that give the gay community a bad name because they think it's something trendy to do. But people that are actually walking this life, who wants to choose to live a life where you're going to be ostracized and you're outside of the quote-unquote norm? That's why I say quote-unquote norm, because as long as you allow people to put you in that box, that's how you're going to think. But what I'm saying is, who would want that life for themselves? You know what I'm saying? Over time, people they grow to accept and embrace themselves, but who wants to put themselves at risk of being ostracized from their family and disowned and being on the street, people threatening to take your life and stuff like that? Don't nobody choose that. Ain't no agenda out here. Now, the only thing that we're saying is we want to live our lives in peace. We ain't trying to force nothing on nobody. I don't even care if you don't accept it, but I want my basic rights. I pay my taxes like any other person. I work hard, and y'all want to sit up here and say all this stuff about gay people, but they're the ones that a lot of times have to step in and take care of children in your families, because the mother's so trifling and the father ain't around. He's a deadbeat. The mother don't want to take care of kids. She out here spreading it wide and busting it open. So a lot of times you got the gay uncles or the gay aunties that got to step in and take care of these kids. So before you want to sit up here and talk about the gay agenda or say all this stuff about the gay community, realize it's a lot of gay people that are stepping in and taking over the responsibilities that you dismissed. You know what I'm saying? So I just got a problem when people talk about this gay agenda. Ain't nobody trying to force nothing on anybody. Just like every other group that has to stand up, we are standing up. And all these people that got something to say about the gay community having this agenda, y'all need to take a page from that playbook, because maybe y'all won't be marginalized and won't be oppressed if you would take a page from the playbook and see how they're doing things. Because obviously they must have some type of influence, and they're doing something that you're not doing because you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in. And I think a lot of people, it's just, I don't want to say it's a jealousy type of thing, but they kind of feel that how are these people so powerful now? How are these people being able to have such an influence on society and get what they want? And we've been struggling for so many. I said, you know what? My thing is, I feel like anybody that's doing something that I'm trying to do and they doing a better job than me, I'm going to imitate it. And I'm going to see how they got to where they're at. And I think that's what we need, a lot of people need to do. Quit trying to say that the gay community is trying to bully and trying to put their agenda on people and learn from them, because obviously they're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. People take it how you want. That's just how I feel.
And that's the thing. It's not just gay agenda. It's everything that's an agenda. Even with the thing with abortion, even with the thing with illegal immigration, they all have something in common. When you tell a person the truth of what's going on in this country that is affecting a marginalized group of people, automatically they assume it's an agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like we have been fed so many lies from the media to the point that we can't discern the truth unless someone actually explains it to us. That this is not an agenda, this is not propaganda, this is reality. And eventually it will affect you. Just because it doesn't affect you now doesn't mean it won't affect you later.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's why I said like injustice of one group is an injustice to all. Because like you said, we're all tax-paying citizens. We all deserve basic rights. It ain't even about you accepting somebody's lifestyle, quote unquote lifestyle. It's not even about accepting. It's about just having equal protection under the law. That's what I always say. It's about equal protection. Everybody deserves to have their equal rights. You can't sit here and tell me if I'm a citizen, I'm paying my taxes, that I should not have the same rights as the next person should have.
That's right.
You can't tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just unacceptable. Nobody's telling you, ain't nobody holding no gun to your head telling you that you got to be X, Y, and Z. Nobody's telling you that. So I just have a problem when they say, well, we're indoctrinating these kids and this, that, and the other. I said, how about y'all forcing your gender on people that aren't like that? You know what I'm saying? Y'all feeding these children everything under the sun. You got all this other stuff on TV and all just everything, but you talking about the gays. Like, I don't understand that. They're not the ones going in these schools, blowing up, shooting these schools up and doing all this stuff, all this crazy stuff, but y'all so focused on them.
Yeah. The thing I remember is, did a gay person shoot up Columbine? No. Did a gay person blow up Oklahoma City bombing? That building in Oklahoma City?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Did a gay person cause all this climate change? Did they cause all these floods and hurricanes and earthquakes and forest fires?
Did they tell you not to vaccinate your children?
It's really funny that it's been since gay marriage has been enacted by the Supreme Court that the thoughts about should gays be able to marry, the percentage of people polled is now above 50%. I think it's getting closer to 60%. And the people that say that they shouldn't get married is probably closer to 40%.
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago, that was completely the opposite and probably in much further directions. It was probably like 10% in 1990 and 90% against. So we have honestly come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
We have, everyone knows someone who's gay. Everyone. And
Gay people ain't going nowhere.
That's right. We're not.
They're not going nowhere. And the only reason why it's so in front of us now is because people are feeling more comfortable and feeling more free. But don't be deceived. Like, don't think that these people are just these mystical people that just are creatures that just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
A lot of times this stuff was underground. A lot of these men were married. Hell, like y'all remember that movie that came out about Brokeback Mountain? People laugh about that movie, whatever, but that's a reality. These men were married. These men, you would have never, expected these people being homosexual or lesbian. And that's another thing too. A lot of people always want to think about the down low as a male epidemic. No, there are so many women that's out here licking and laughing. I hate to be whatever, but I'm just saying. Like, everybody wants to think that the down low is something that is just a male type of thing or a black male type of thing.
That's right.
Because that epidemic has been assigned to the black community. But the down low has been something that has been effect in all. Let me get my thoughts in. Has been in effect in all communities since the beginning of time. Gay people have been around since the beginning of time.
Yep.
Look at the Greek empires and the Roman empires and everything else. Like, that stuff has been going on. Like, it was a time where these men would have these families and they would just look at women as, a means of procreation. They want to get down with the boys. They want to get down with the men. This is just something that has been going on since the beginning of time. And now that people want to be in a meaningful relationship and they want to settle down, okay, isn't that what you think you claim that you should be doing? Instead of being out here being immoral, sleeping with everybody, but now that people want to settle down and live their life with a partner and have some type of normalcy, quote unquote, now y'all got a problem with it. Like, I don't understand it. I mean, am I wrong or am I right?
You're definitely right about that. I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
if I want to go from point A to point B with you and hold your hand down the street without the fear of getting attacked or get the fear of being called some kind of homophobic slur, that's what I want. But we have a lot of people who don't get that. Mm-hmm. And they feel like they have to attack for whatever reason. I mean, hate is a real thing.
It sure is.
And that is the one thing I honestly feel that needs to be stamped out.
But I'm gonna tell you this: I'm gonna say this: times are changing, and people better be careful who they rolling up on. Because just don't think because somebody is gay, lesbian, transgender, bi, whatever. Don't think that every person is going to allow you to get in their face and call them some type of derogatory name, or you think you about to bash somebody because you got this stereotype in your mind of what a gay person is. You gonna mess around and get yourself jacked up, or you gonna probably get yourself shot or killed, because I think now people are starting to realize that we have to protect ourselves.
Yeah, we do. And
you gonna roll up on the wrong person one day, and you call somebody an F-bomb, or you try to beat honey. So I'm gonna tell you a queen out there that carries, and she'll let you know, T.S. Madison, and she's been a very big advocate of people protecting themselves and not you just can't expect that everybody's gonna be about that. Gonna let you just walk all over them. And I just advise any and everybody to exercise your Second Amendment rights. You are a citizen of this country. It's your right to exercise that right.
Yes.
Because you don't know who's out here. It doesn't make sense for the criminals and everybody else to have access to guns and weaponry, and you as a legitimate taxpaying citizen and somebody that's on the right side of the law, you to be out here totally defenseless. I just don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to jet out here.
okay, then. But I want to thank you for coming on, Philip, and we're gonna probably wrap this broadcast up. But be on the lookout. We're gonna, huh?
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, I think you got anything else that you want to say?
No. I just want to keep doing this.
All right. Well, we will not be back this Sunday, but we will be back on the following Sunday. Let me see what that date is. That will be. Let me look at the calendar. July. We'll be back on July 7th. So everybody have a wonderful holiday weekend.
Yeah.
And we will be back with another broadcast of the Tea, episode 3. Until then, everybody take care of each other and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.